What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. I haven't been able to post videos this past week because I got sick. And I am really having a hard time talking for long periods of time. Now that I am feeling a lot better, I am hoping that I can post more videos this week. Although I would like to apologize in advance if my voice is different or not good in the videos. But before we start the video, do you have problems AFK grinding in ROX? Do you always worry that you may overcharge or the battery of your phone, tablet, or laptop may overheat? Do you worry about your electricity bill when grinding using your personal computer that is running for days non-stop? Or do you encounter intermittent connection from your internet service provider, which disconnects your character when AFK grinding? Well, if that is the case, then UgPhone can solve all of your problems. UgPhone is a cloud phone that runs independently in the cloud, and it does not consume the memory or battery of your physical device. Even if you close the UgPhone app, your game will still continue to run in the cloud, which makes this the perfect phone for AFK grinding for 24 hours, 7 days a week non-stop.
Nice.
You can also run multiple instances of UgPhone in one account, which allows you to play and grind multiple games simultaneously. As you can see, my Shura and Royal Guard are AFK grinding at the same time. UgPhone is available in Google Play for Android, App Store for iOS, Windows Store for PC, and you can also use a web browser to run UgPhone. So if you want to try out UgPhone, you can use my link shown in the description below. And you can also use my invitation code, which really helps me out. So thank you guys, and thank you UgPhone for the sponsor. Now let's get back to the video. For today's video, let's talk about some of the trending news in ROX. First, let's discuss the new server that will be launched next month in the game's anniversary.
What?
This is quite a quick turnaround in launching a new server again in the game. As you all know, we just got the Taekwondo server last April 2, and now we are getting a new one next month in the upcoming ROX anniversary. So basically, the gap between the Taekwondo server and the new server will only be 2 months. This is quite short as most players are still in their second jobs in the Taekwondo server. I have 2 takes on this upcoming new server news. Number 1 is that I am not really surprised about having a new server again in the game. This is very typical of ROX, and this is basically the game's life cycle. Number 2 is that I am quite disappointed with how fast the new server will be implemented in the game. Again, as mentioned earlier, the Taekwondo server will only have a 2-month gap between the upcoming new server. The problem with this is that I am pretty sure that a lot of players from the Taekwondo server will move on to the new server. If I'm going to be honest, that's what most players do in this game. If they didn't like the job that they have created in one server, their alternative is to move on to the next new server. Of course, there are also other reasons why players move to the new server, but we will talk about it in another time. So the big question is, will this hurt the Taekwondo server? In my opinion, if the newest server will be launched in the same region as the Taekwondo server, then I don't think that it will have a massive impact in the Taekwondo server, simply because the exchange center in one region is connected to all the sub-servers. So if we are talking about the economy of the Taekwondo server, this will not be affected at all, since they will also have the access to the exchange center in the newest server and vice versa. The main impact of having a new server again this early is that the number of players from the Taekwondo server will definitely go down. Now, I am pretty sure that there are mixed reactions about this. I know some players would rather have a smaller population in a server, and some would rather have a crowded population as well. So again, this is very subjective. For me personally, I would rather have a crowded server in the game rather than having a smaller population. Based on my experience in playing on older servers with smaller population, there are times that you will have difficulties finding party members for events because of the lack of players. You will also encounter the same people over and over again in PvE and PvP. So basically, the server becomes stale and quiet most of the time. I'm not saying that this will happen to the Taekwon server anytime soon, but I'm pretty sure that the population of the server will go down once the upcoming server has been launched. Now, from a player's perspective, this is quite disappointing. However, there is always two sides of a coin, and the other side is the business perspective or from the company's perspective. Obviously, this is more beneficial from a financial standpoint, as players who will start in the new server will most likely spend money in the game, especially those who wants to dominate the PvE and PvP space of the game. We also have to remember that the main source of revenue of the game is the microtransactions. So in order for the company to keep developing new content for the players, of course, they need to have a source of revenue in order for them to pay their employees. Again, this is basically the most common life cycles of most mobile games in the market as of today. Which is why, as I've mentioned earlier, from my perspective, I'm not really that surprised about the new server. However, as a player, I'm quite disappointed with the small gap in between. How about you guys? What are your thoughts on the upcoming new server of ROX? Let me know in the comment section below. Moving on to the final topic, which is the upcoming class balancing for the Bard, Dancer, Taekwon, and Royal Guard. So recently, ROX has posted the results of their Kafra suggestion box. And one of the most notable topics in the post is the class balancing for several job class. Let's run through these planned changes moving forward. The first one is the Taekwon class. Now, I know a lot of players, even content creators, are quite disappointed with the Taekwon class. I can understand their frustration, as I was one of the players who tried and tested this class as well. But before I give my opinion, let's read through the changes for the Taekwon class. So basically, the main problem for the Taekwon class is the flow of skills, the speed on how the skills are executed, and an underwhelming damage output. Now for me personally, I've experienced all of these problems when I was testing out the Taekwon. And I think the reason why they are saying that the damage output is underwhelming is because of how slow the Taekwon class deals damage. In order to fully reach the max damage of your skills, you need to complete a certain set of skill animation first. It's like having a couple of steps first before you can fully deal your maximum damage. If you compare this with other jobs like an LK and Shura, which can immediately cast their finger offensive skill to deal maximum burst damage to the enemy, or even an assassin which can cast their sonic blow in one go, then they have a faster time to kill as compared to the Taekwon class. Now, based on the response from ROX, they are already working on these problems and they are planning to apply these changes soon. This is basically a buff for the Taekwon class in the upcoming class balancing. So most probably, these updates will be implemented during the ROX 3rd year anniversary. Next on the list are the Bard and Dancer class. The main question here is that, did the developers overdo the nerf of the Bard and Dancer class? As we all know, these two jobs are very overpowered not only in the early and mid stages of the game, but for the whole game in general. They have the wide AoE skills and at the same time, the high DPS to cover multiple leveling spots. They are also very strong in PvE and PvP, which make these classes quite ahead as compared to other jobs. Based on the response from ROX, they will be enhancing their skill damage and buff durations moving forward. So this is basically a buff from the previously nerfed classes. For me personally, I haven't really played these classes, so I'm not sure if they were really nerfed that bad. Nor should they get another buff in the upcoming months. For the Bard and Dancer class players who are watching this video, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And last but not the least is the Royal Guard. Now the question here is, why is the Crusader not yet been nerfed because they have a high defense and high damage? Now, as a Royal Guard player, I can attest to this statement. This is quite true because our Royal Guard has a very high survivability and yet they can also have a very high damage output. So basically, this class has it all, and probably one of the easiest and best class in the game. Based on the response from Ragnarok X, they didn't really expect the high damage output from the Crusader class, because this class was intended to be the tank role in the game. So now, they are planning to balance out their damage output in future updates. Basically, they are saying that they are going to nerf the damage of the Crusader class. This is quite sad, because in a span of 3 months, my main characters have been nerfed.
Emotional, damn it!
I'm talking about my HK and Shura, and now the Royal Guard. Although I completely understand where the developers are coming from, because I've seen this type of build from the Crusader class in our server and in other videos online. It is really quite OP that a single job class can have a very high survivability and high DPS at the same time. So I'm not really upset about the planned nerf moving forward. And that's it for the upcoming class balancing in the game. What are your thoughts about these planned changes? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, and if you want to see more Ragnarok X content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. GG!
You're a superhero.